He grants that you're having this phenomenal activity, this phenomenal activity of sight. But what he does not grant is whether this phenomenal activity accurately represents the extramental world. All that means is that, for example, like how the Purian skeptics, they grant that we observe these like entities, they grant that we have these observations. What they don't grant is whether these observations indicates that there's a world outside of their mind or whether it is accurate. So for one, he was not putting into question your sight or you having the ability to see. He was putting into question whether the representations within your sight or within this mental, I guess, activity is accurate. That's what he placed into question. Now, to respond to the second part of your argument, right? If T-Jump granted that it was fallible, but then T-Jump asked for a contradiction. That is not Aaron's burden. He doesn't have to establish a contradiction, right? What T-Jump has to do is explain why it is less likely for it to be wrong than for his view to be right, regardless of his fallibility, regardless of the fallibility that is embedded within his view. That's what he has the burden to establish, right? Think of it like this. I mean, a lot of fictional debaters can relate to this. If you have a scan, for example, and the scan is a statement within the scan, and there are two different interpretations that one can use to interpret the scan, right? I mean, the skeptic can just pose an interpretation, but they don't need to present a contradiction in the interpretation or within your interpretation, right? So long as you are on the positive and you need to establish why your interpretation is correct, and you granted that your interpretation is possibly false, you need to show why it is more likely than not that your interpretation is true. And the same logic applies here. It's just basic common sense, Jester. Now give a response.
Yeah, I've already established multiple times. Yeah, I know he's running a skeptic stance, and within even T-Jump's position, he's saying that he could possibly be wrong. So the whole thing that this is, I'm saying that you running this possible worldview on me, I've already explained multiple times how it's probably the case and how highly unlikely it is that everybody on the planet is fucking deluded because we would all be dead. Can you respond to that?
Oh, wait, that was zoning out. My bad. What were you saying?
Okay, I'm saying that I've already pointed out how my position of sight, and I'll address this too because you actually made 2 points there. You said that he's not putting my sight into question again, but the issue that you're having here
You're
is
a little
that
bit off. A little bit off.
no. He said you're saying that he's not putting my sight into question. He has to be, because I'm saying that my sight, me being able to see something, is, it justifies in itself me being able to see something. He has to put that into question, or he's not attacking my position. And so when you say that I have to prove like this is more probable than this other reality, I have, because if the other reality was even likely at all, we would all be dead and we wouldn't be on Discord right now. So how the fuck are we on Discord right now debating if that's even probable?
Well, for one, I guess when you say we'd all be dead, that's just an extreme reach, right? For example,
we would all be dead if we were all deluded.
there
That's
are
just the
several
case.
times where science has confirmed that we have a bit of optical illusions. Like, for example, light plays tricks in our visual faculties. Like, for example, if you study the refraction of light and like the mirage, for example, optical illusions has been confirmed within the field of science. But just because we have illusions or we're deluded with respect to what or I guess vision represents, right? That doesn't indicate that we're dead, right? Simply because it's like accepting that we're deluded doesn't lead to the conclusion that we would be dead. We could be alive, but within this specific life, we have a wrong interpretation of the world that we live in, and that doesn't extrapolate to us being dead. That's just a weird reach, right? Now I think that was the only point you made, or rather, you may have made another point, but when you repeat your position, I may be able to respond to that.
Okay. So here's the issue that you're having here. So the example of delusion that he's giving me is saying that when I'm looking at something in a room, I literally can't tell what it is. Not some, because I understand there's optical illusion. I understand that the people in this world can actually, properly represent what colors are, like as a refraction of light. I understand things like that, but it still allows us to follow and be able to progress through the real world and do things, right? It's not impeding us in any sort of way. The delusion that your friend is referring to is me literally not being able to see something or tell what something is. Right? He's saying I'm completely deluded. My sight is malfunctioning. It's fallible. Like my sight is like not working. If my sight is fallible, if I can't tell what is in front of me, we literally wouldn't be able to exist, and we literally wouldn't be able to have this conversation on Discord.com right now. Do you not understand
Oh yeah, he
what I'm
didn't
saying?
say that, by the way. he didn't make the whole debate you guys had. I was listening the entire time. The whole time he was not making any form of affirmative claims. He didn't say that your side is. He never said to you, Jester, your side is deluded, or you're
I
in
never
a
said that. He's
delusion.
saying it's
He never said
possible.
that. Yeah, he was saying this. Yeah, it's very important for it to
Okay.
clarify, right? Because it can give others a wrong I guess a wrong interpretation,
Well, I've said it
right?
multiple
So
times.
he said it is possible that your side is deluded
Okay.
or is wrong, right? And afterwards, you granted this possibility, and
Okay.
now all he was asking for was for some probability increase in proof, some proof which raises the probability of your view, your opinion, your claim to be
Well,
true.
I just told
That
you.
was
Can you
all he asked
respond?
for. Wait, hold on. That was all he asked for, right? And simply all he did was just appeal to what was in question, which is the site itself, to justify the site
So you
itself,
agree
and that was
the
what he
site
called
wasn't.
out
So
to be
you
begging
agree
the
site is in
question. And then he
question.
had, wait, hold on, I didn't
You
interrupt you,
conceded.
right? Yeah, so I didn't interrupt you, and that's your own opinion,
Go
which is
ahead.
obviously
That's my
wrong,
fault.
by
That's
the
my
way,
fault. I
the way of
interrupted you. Go
professionalism.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But
Go ahead.
anyway, yes, anyway, simply interrupting someone by saying they conceded is not a good argument. It's not persuasive. So anyway, I'll just get back to my point. Now back to what I was going to say, right? The fact that you appealed to what was in question to prove that the claim, I guess, your position, is something which establishes that it is not probability increasing. You have not presented any form of good evidence. That was bad evidence, right? Begging the question of fallacy is bad evidence, right? Anyone can grant this. If you ask someone to prove a position and they simply reaffirm the position and they even grant that they reaffirm the position, how would that raise the probability of that being true? You also said that it was justificatory. I guess you said it was self-justificatory, right? My apologies. And I don't see how that would even be a good reason to believe in your position, because you can apply that to simply any belief of the matter. You can say that we're in a delusion because that's self-justified. It doesn't solve anything. It results in an impasse.
Okay. We're gonna go. You set the timer.
Yeah, bro. Go ahead.
You can go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, Apollo didn't address anything I said at all. I understand that it's possible. I agree that it's possible. He asked me to find something that's probability increasing to show why my view is more probable than that possibility that he threw at me to, point out some problems with my view, and I said that's perfectly okay. But I've pointed out that, and we already went over the semantics of how bad or what type of delusion was Arianus in reference to. He was talking about like light refraction and stuff like that. I'm not talking about like optical illusions. I'm talking about delusions or being deluded to the point where you literally can't progress as a human. Like you have no sight. Like your sight is fallible. Like your sight doesn't work. That's the possibility he's asserting. He's saying that if I'm in a room and I'm looking at something, I think it's a TV, it could be completely not there and I'm completely deluded and I'm like in a trance, basically. That's what he's basically implying. That's what he's basically saying too. So he's not talking about some delusion where like I'm having like optical illusions and maybe like I see something one time. No, he's basically saying like I'm incapable of seeing. This possibility is really highly unlikely. I've asserted why it's highly unlikely multiple times, because if everybody on the planet was just as deluded as this, we would not be able to progress at all and we wouldn't be here. So it's more probable that I'm capable of seeing perfectly fine and telling you that we're on discord.com right now. And it's probably the case that we are on discord.com right now having this debate. I could infer this through my site, seeing the app discord.com open my computer, right? And him pointing forth that we're all possibly deluded and can't infer from sight at all is completely wrong. And you can't prove why that's more probable than my position. It's horrible. It's horrible skepticism.
Okay, so to respond to what you said a while ago, so for one, I agree with you with the view that phenomenal conservatism is probable. What I don't agree with you is your evidence for justifying this probability, right? Just like how, for example, two persons can both agree that, I guess, Goku beats Naruto, but they don't agree with how one approaches that particular opinion and proving it. I don't grant your evidential approach to proving that position. It was bad evidence. And again, to respond to your other part, what you said that the optical illusion part was kind of disanalogous. No, it was not, right? Because what he was saying, for example, when you have an optical illusion, you're deluded in some sense. You're having a delusion, right? So, for example, a mirage example, when you look down at the bottom of the road in sunlight, for example, it's going to appear that there's a puddle at the bottom of the road. That's your sight. That's what you're seeing currently. That's what you think. That's what your sight indicates. However, that doesn't actually exist, right? And the same thing can be applied to particularly everything, right, that we observe, right? For example, whether there's an apple on the table, etc., right? Now, I do in fact agree profoundly that it is more probable than not that we're on Discord. That's obvious, right?
Okay.
However, I don't agree with how you justify this belief. You just say, well, it is justified in virtue of my sight. I mean, that just blatantly begs the question. Again, I have laid out several different means of justifying that position. I mean, the Morin response, the semantical externalism response, etc., etc. And even Arianas blatantly said in the debate that you can draw inferences, you can use modus ponens to establish the reliability for perception or to justify these perceptual beliefs or even phenomenal conservatism in a nutshell, right? So I don't think you've actually responded to one specific thing, which I think is the major thing in question, which is how exactly is reaffirming the position not begging the question? How exactly can you assume the conclusion but not be begging the question?
Okay. So I say I can see this thing. I see this as a TV. And so I make the statement that this is a TV, right? You tell me, why is this a TV? Or why do you think this is a TV because of your sight? And me reaffirming that my sight is a valid way of telling you this is a TV is self-justifying, because my sight and whether I can see or not, is self-justifying because of the way sight works. You put that into question whether or not it is self-justifying, right? So you're going to put into question whether it is self-justifying, which is what Arianas did. Arianas puts it into question. He puts into question my sight, whether it's self-justifying or not, then tells me through global skepticism that this could possibly be the case. I'm telling him that probably, and you even admitting that, probably his possibility that he points at me to try to point out some problems of my position is really highly unlikely, so I don't even have to entertain it. I've already proven why me having my sight and why me being able to draw inferences from my sight and why I'm able to see is more probable than everybody being deluded. And you keep talking about the optical illusions and all these other things like mirages, which are completely irrelevant to the type of analogy or the type of example that Ariana's made, to where everybody's completely deluded to where they can't see anything. So you absolutely said absolutely nothing. I've already explained multiple times why my sight is self-justifying, while me being able to see, why me being able to see is self-justifying. It's not question begging. You're basically doing the equivalent of saying that you're basically doing the equivalent of trying to tell you to justify the law of identity. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, here's the problem though. Here's the problem though. When you say you've already proven that your sight was probability increasing, you have to be very careful with that term, because all you did was simply reaffirm your sight in the attempt of justifying your sight. I don't see how saying that something is self-justified is even any. I don't see how that's informative. I don't see how that raises the probability of any form of belief whatsoever. I mean, you can apply that to particularly any belief that we have. Like, for example, why is it the case that, for example, Ronaldo is a better sportsman than Michael Jordan? Oh, because it's self-justifying, or
That's
because it just
disanalogous,
seems
but
to be the
I'm
case.
sorry.
I don't think it's disanalogous. I think in both cases we have a particular belief, and both persons approach that, I guess,
You
justify
have a
that
timer,
belief by
Juju?
just saying it's self-justifying. That's uninformative. Now, again, with the laws of
Are you
logic
running the
part,
timer?
that's disanalogous. No, I'm not finished actually. You can wait. You can wait a chance
Oh,
to
you have
actually
a
I'm
rant
minute and
saying,
on, right?
15, Apollo.
okay, keep going.
What you said?
You have a
You have
minute
a
and
minute
Excuse
15.
and
me?
15.
Okay, so as I was gonna say, yeah, the laws of logic part was disanalogous because with the laws of logic, that's just the bar we establish for justification as a whole. Justification in itself is embedded within the logos, right? That's the bar we use to determine whether something is justified or is not justified. But that's not the case with perception, right? Perception is not the bar for justification, so it's not something that we would just accept as a background belief. That would be a foreground belief, right? So you have to understand the background foreground distinction within our belief system before reaching to the conclusion that the laws of logic situation would be analogous to asking someone to justify their perception, which is not the case, because laws of logic is the bar for justification, the perception is not, right? So give a response.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. The reason, so you brought up a Cristiano Ronaldo analogy that was completely disanalogous, because when you talk about the best in soccer, it has to do with other variables outside, like statistics and performances against each other in these games. That has nothing to do with how your sight works. If you could see, it's in itself that you can see, like you're able to project these images back to your brain, right? There's like like the reason that you could see is that you could see your brain functions, your eyeballs, to be able to project images back to you to be able to process what's happening in our real reality. That's how it works. It is self-justifying whether you could see or not. Now, if you're putting into question whether I can see or not, right, because I'm already presupposing that I can see. If you're putting into question that I can't see, right? That's a different story. So you're saying that I can't see, and or he's saying that it's possible that I can't see. I'm saying my position is more probable. So the problem that you're having here is that when I put forth that I could see this thing, and when I see this, when I do see this thing, I state that this thing is this thing, and then you go and say that it's possible that I'm deluded. That's not really an argument, because I've already showed you the probability increasing portion of it, which is it's really highly unlikely, and it's highly likely that I can see. If it's really probable that I can see, that I have vision, that I'm able to point out things in my reality, that's probable, then there's no issue with my view of saying I point out this thing to be this. If I'm wrong, point out why I'm wrong. There's no issue with that position. Wait,
Okay,
before you go,
so
real quick, let me open my door for my dog. Before you start, real quick, let me open my door.
oh, okay, good.
Go out. I'm back. Go ahead.
Okay. By the way, tell your dog I say hi, okay? But anyway, to respond to the last parts you were
Hilarious.
saying, you basically did not really respond to what I said. I mean, no one is actually putting into question the fact that you have the ability to see. We grant this view, right? We grant that you have the ability to see. We grant that you have vision faculties. What we don't grant as of now is whether what you observe is actually representative of the external world, right? What we're basically including is the possibility of this just being all in your mind and it's not actually representing something which actually exists. That's what's being placed in question. The quality is not what's being placed into question. And for the first part of your response, you talked about the Cristiano Ronaldo being disanalogous. No, it's not. I mean, I was not saying that we can't determine who is a better footballer between Ronaldo and Messi, for example, by appealing to statistics or whatever. What I was saying is that to say that simply that I guess phenomenal conservatism is true in virtue of intuitions, which assumes phenomenal conservatism and is self-justified, is just the same as saying that Ronaldo is better than Messi in virtue of Ronaldo being a better footballer than Messi and it being self-justified. It just assumes a conclusion. It is uninformative. It is unsubstantive. It does not add anything. Just like how in the Ronaldo example, where you can prove that Ronaldo is better than Messi by using statistics and not beg the question, you can also do the same with perception or phenomenal conservatism by appealing to, again, transcendental arguments, Morean arguments, semantic externalism arguments, and multiple different arguments, which solves these skeptical, I guess, problems or issues within epistemology. So in both cases, it can appeal to different standards without simply just blatantly assuming the conclusion, right? That's what I was pretty much saying to you, right? So I like a response now.
Okay. He's saying we grant you could see, but I'm putting into question whether or not your vision is telling you what's actually in the external world. So he's saying, I grant you can see, but I'm putting into question whether you can see or not. Because the literal definition for being able to see is to perceive with the eyes and to be able to discern things visually. If you can't discern things visually or perceive anything correctly, you can't discern or perceive, just a complete fabrication, then you can't see. Like, that's just the case, right? What I'm talking about is me being able to see and discern things. If I'm able to see and discern things, I'm able to tell you what this thing is. You're putting into question me even being able to discern something. But the problem with this possibility is just ridiculous because, again, Arianis uses something that's just highly unlikely, and you haven't proven why. And again, you keep saying that it's probable that I could see, but you put in question and you run the same type of skepticism that Arianis runs, which is useless. So the issue that you're having here is that either you attack whether what I said about my vision being more probable than the delusion theory, or you just lose. Because if I prove it's probable and I'm perfectly able to see and discern things, then my vision is a self-justifying thing. That's why he's putting it into question. So can you respond to that directly?
Oh yeah. So repeat the last part. I was zoning out a bit.
Okay. So I'm saying, I say my vision is self-justifying. He puts that into question by running global skepticism, right? I tell him and I point out multiple ways how my view is more probable than the skepticism he presents. So the issue that you're having here, to be able to say that my vision isn't something that's self-justifying, which is what I'm saying, that my vision is self-justifying, I could appeal to my vision because it's probably the case, it's credible. right? You'd have to discern as to why my vision is not credible, and I've already pointed out why his, his
Yeah,
possibility is
yeah, okay, I can give
horribly
a
unlikely.
response.
So like, yeah, so like
Mhm,
the question I'm asking here, like, why is what I'm saying not
mhm.
probable?
So what he said verbatim is that the reason as to why we can accept my vision as a valid justifier is because my vision is credible. Now the thing is, that has yet to be hashed out, right? So you have to hash out the credibility of the vision, right? So when you say that your vision is a valid, I guess, justifier, you're already assuming that it is credible. And then by justifying that by saying it is credible is basically just reiterating the view that's in question, right? So again, right, you cannot hash out the credibility of your vision by simply just appealing to your vision as a justifier. I've already given multiple different alternatives, which are much better than what T Jump was doing, right? Which was basically just reiterating his position, which is phenomenal conservatism. Again, I just don't simply understand how someone, right, who's listened to this, or even you, for example, can honestly think that simply reiterating your view in attempt of justifying that position is a valid argument. It is not a valid argument. It's called a proof by assertion fallacy, or begging the question, or commits epistemic circularity. It's obviously circular, right? It does not add any form of informative basis for the conclusion which is in question. Again, it's just the same as saying that this player is better than this other player because it's self-justified. It's just basically it's justified in virtue of itself. I mean, it does not add any form of informative justification that the person is asking for. And again, you keep on saying that the skepticism that he presents is not an argument. I agree with you. It is not supposed to be an argument, right?
That's not what I
Skepticism
said.
in itself is not. Wait, hold on. It's not supposed to be an argument, nor which establishes the falsity of your position. It is supposed to be something which undercuts the justification of your position, meaning that it basically puts your position into question and put it into such a sticky situation whereas we don't have any reason into accepting your position due to lack of good or relevant evidence which could raise the probability of your position. So no, he doesn't need to show a contradiction. He doesn't need to show why your position is less probable. The only thing you need to do is show why, based on our current evidential status, we can never determine whether a
That's
position
calm.
is the most probable. So make a response now.
Okay. As again, he's running around and not really addressing what I'm saying. Let me close my door. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, again, he's running around and he's not really addressing the point that I make about, me pointing out how my position is more probable than the delusion theory. And if the delusion theory is what he's using to point out the issue within my position to say that, you can't really say that you could see and then say that it's self-justifying. If you're arguing for Arianus, all Arianus is saying, when I respond, it's my vision is self-justifying because the vision or sight is what we use to infer the things around us, right? And so through that, which is why I say that is self-justifying. Now, if my vision is not self-justifying, he points out that we could all just be in a delusion, which is why I can't re-appeal to my vision. I point out why that's completely false. Well, that's not like it's not even like more probable than what I'm pointing out. He's pointing out something that I've said multiple times is so highly unlikely that we don't even have to entertain it. So you're not really responding to me at all when I point out the issues in Arianus' position multiple times, because he puts it into question and reaffirm it. I say it's self-justifying. He goes and says, well, it can't be because of this global skepticism, interglobal skepticism. I attack the global skepticism by saying, this is highly unlikely. I show why my position is more probable. And so when I show my position is more probable, I defeat the global skepticism because I showed something that was probability increasing by completely defeating the skepticism and showing why it's fucking ridiculous. So when I showed something why my view was probability increasing and I met your criteria, I met your goalpost, you really just have to show me like where I didn't point out that my view was more probability increasing or where I failed to
Holy
point that
shit,
out.
Jester. I think you're being stubborn on purpose. Dude, that's
Nah,
the problem. He's not affirming the position, right?
I'm not
When you
saying
have
he
been
is.
skeptical, you said that his position is flawed. So you're basically saying he has a position. He doesn't have a position,
I said
right?
he's running
Skepticism in
I said he's
itself
running
is
global skepticism
wait,
on me.
hold on. No
I've
need
said
to
it 3
interrupt.
times.
No need
Stop
to
straw
interrupt.
manning me.
No
But
need
stop
to
straw
interrupt.
manning me.
No
I
need
said
to
he's running
interrupt.
global skepticism
Moderation,
3
moderation,
times.
moderation,
Like
moderation.
holy
Hold
Thank
on,
crap.
you.
hold on, hold on.
You can
Thank
moderate
you.
me. Go ahead.
Let him
Yeah,
finish. Let him finish his point.
make it
Like
fair,
what the
okay?
fuck?
So as I was gonna say, you said on multiple occasions that he has a position, his position is flawed. The thing is he doesn't have a position. He's just simply calling into question your view, right? If you didn't know, Arianus actually grants phenomenal conservatism to some extent. He just does not grant the way in which T-Jump and you specifically approached the situation when being asked to prove phenomenal conservatism, which is a form of begging the question. So again, reiterating the view does not actually add any form of information or any substantive basis for that view, and you granted on multiple occasions that you and T-Jump simply just said that my side is justified in virtue of itself to justify your side. That is not good justification. And if guys think I'm riding, I'm not riding. I mean, they're literal legitimate arguments to prove that your perception is true or reliable without using the trash justification that Jester and T-Jump is currently using, right? There are much better ways, and I've laid them out on multiple occasions. And Arianas in his debate literally said to you that you can draw inferences or make inferences to justify this specific worldview, right? So again, I needed to establish to me how exactly is your view probability raising if all you're doing is saying that it is self-justified, it is true in virtue of itself, or my vision is justified in virtue of my vision, which is just begging the question. I've given several examples on this, right? The Sukuna example, like for example, how can you say that, for example, Sukuna beats Gojo because I think this Sukuna beats Gojo, or that Sukuna beats Gojo because he has the ability to beat Gojo? That's just reiterating the view in
Okay.
different words. That's not informative, right? You can't reiterate the view and think that's good justification. It doesn't raise the probability of anything. And if you think that Ariana has to present a contradiction or a debunk, like an explicit debunk to your position for your position to be correct or wrong, that's just not the case, right? All you need to do is explain why your position has no form of good evidence, which is going to put your position into such a doubt, whereas you can't affirm your position to be epistemically reliable or more reliable than the contrary view.
Okay. I'm gonna explain this since he keeps going ad nauseum and basically repeating the same garbage Ariana's is spouting. So I'm gonna address him. Right. If he puts into question my view, and I tell him my view, and I want everybody to listen. This is the exchange. I tell him my view is self-justifying because my vision justifies in itself that I'm capable of seeing. To defeat that, he has to put it into question, right? I tell him he runs global skepticism. I never even directly said he's running some position. I'm saying that he's running global skepticism. He's being a skeptic. So he's pointing out an issue of my position. Okay, perfectly fine. He's pointing out an issue of my position. He's saying that we could all be deluded. We could all be stupid, retarded. Like everybody could just be like not seeing anything, right? Okay. I say that's highly unlikely. So you just pointing out something that's just possible, some random possible world, doesn't lower the probability of my position. I'm saying that I could probably see. It's probably the case that I can see. So I'm going to rely on my position. I'm going to reaffirm that I can see, and it's perfectly okay. So me reaffirming that I can see while saying that's probably the case that I can see, right? And saying that I can rely back on my own sight to say whether something is there or not, and you just putting forth a possibility is not anything. You haven't gotten anywhere. You haven't pointed out any real problem in my position that it's open to the possibility of being wrong. Like he's not doing shit. Like he didn't do anything
Okay,
impressive at all.
Okay, so for one, you misinterpreted my approach and Aaron's approach. Neither of us thinks that simply approaching or positing the possibility of you being deluded establishes your view being unreliable. What we use as reason to believe that your view is epistemically unreliable is the fact that you have no good evidence, no evidence which is non-circular, which establishes the truthiness of your view. That's what we use to establish the epistemic unreliability of your view, not the fact that it's just merely possible that it could be in an illusion, right? We don't believe that in any way undercuts your view, right? What we believe is the fact that you have not given any good evidence, which does not beg the question, to establish the truthiness of your view. Now, the second part, you, Jin, and another person keeps on misrepresenting my view. Neither of us is questioning whether you can see. That's not being called into question. We grant this. We're not asking you to prove that you have the ability to see. What we are asking you to prove is whether what you are in fact seeing as of now is representing the actual world, is representing a world which exists beyond your mind. That's what I'm asking you to prove, right? So I don't appreciate the continuous misinterpretation, right, and the continuous derails, which does not address nor efficiently progress this dialectic at all. I'm not asking you to demonstrate that you can see. We're not doubting this. So don't, I don't know why you keep on reiterating that irrelevant detail, right? What we're asking you to demonstrate is why it is more likely that what you're currently seeing is in fact representing the actual world. And you keep on, I guess, baselessly asserting that it is more likely, right? And I mean that asseveration has no basis, right? I mean, you just keep on saying it is more likely in virtue of the fact that it just seems based on the same thing which is in question that it is more likely. Again, that is uninformative. And I've said that multiple times that you can use inferences to actually raise the probability of this view without begging the question. Ariana said the exact same thing with respect to the modus ponens shit, right? So there are several means of actually raising the probability without using that trash ass justification that T-Jump was using, right? And to say that something is self-justified can be, I
Yeah,
guess,
that's
applied to
2
this particular
minutes.
every belief. But
That's
I
two
mean, I don't
minutes.
want to continue
That's
ranting. I don't want
Okay,
to rant
that's
yeah,
this
two
too
that's
long.
minutes.
So you
Shut
can
the
make a
fuck.
two
Shut
minutes.
the
response.
See,
fuck
I
up.
want to
That's
go
two
to
minutes.
conclude. This shit kind of ad nauseum, but
It's horrible, but I'm gonna address the points he just shot at me. When he talks about this position right here. Hold on, let me get it right here before you start the timer. I just wrote this down. Give me a second. Okay. So again, he rambles on the same thing. He talks about that he's not pointing out an issue with my sight, but then contradicts himself saying that I can't perceive things, that he's saying I can't see anything external of my mind. If I can't see anything external of my mind, that means that I cannot see. In the context that we're using sight, that means that I cannot actually tell whether or not there is a TV in front of me, which is the problem that he's pointing out. That means that I can't see. So he's pointing out an issue of my position, implying that I cannot see. It's possible that I cannot see. So what about that makes my position more probable? That's the problem that he's pointing out, that you're just completely misconstruing everything to fit your weird little narrative. So I pointed that out multiple times. Again, if I say that my sight in itself, if I'm capable of seeing, that in itself, it's self-justifying as evidence to whether or not there's a TV there, which it is self-justifying, and I've said it multiple times. He has to put into question whether or not it's self-justifying. Now, the way he puts it into question is running that little garbage, and we could go to conclusions after this because it's just going ad nauseum. You're not really addressing. I pointed out multiple times how it's probability increasing when I say it's self-justifying. He has to put that into question, and the way he puts it into question is horrible. I've already fucking deleted it. It's horrible. He has nothing. So you're not really responding to me. You're just saying a bunch of like jargon and babble. So we could conclude. You just fucking lost again. So I'm sorry.
If you think the only thing I can say is jargon, then you're delusional. I can just put it very
You're
simply.
in a world
You
of like
just
that you
say,
don't
wait,
even
hold on,
understand.
shut up. So anyway, the only thing you said is my position is true because it's self-justified. You can apply that same logic to particular any belief, and nobody can ever prove anything. And we have
You
several
can't prove
examples.
why Ariana's
It's
won that exchange.
uninformative. You can say the same logic for every single thing. See, that's how trash your justification is. Now conclusions. That's my whole point.
You want to go to conclusion?
Our first.
Perfect. I'm gonna go.
yeah, you're fine.
Yeah. We came in here talking about the debate that we had, that I had against Arianis. And again, he can't point out why Arianis won this exchange. So I've already pointed out multiple things in this problem. I say, right, I have this view. He's like, why is this view the case? I'm saying because the view justifies in itself. It's self-justifying. He puts into question whether the view is self-justifying or not. The way he puts into question whether the view is self-justifying or not fails. So he has nothing to really stop me from saying that it's self-justifying. So he just fucking lost.
So a lot of persons, including Jester, misconstrues my position. Now, for one, I obviously grant phenomenal conservatism. I'm not some word skeptic. However, when you try to justify your perception or the reliability for perception by using your perception, that's where I'm going to disagree with you on, right? That's not good justification. It doesn't raise the probability of phenomenal conservatism. And for persons who would agree with Jester, the thing is this, right? I mean, there are different ways, again, I've said the arguments, there are different means of justifying the reliability for perception. I've laid out the arguments on multiple occasions. Simply begging the question is not good evidence, and that is universally granted in logic, right? It just does not beg the question. It just does not raise the probability of any theory or exponence, right? Now, with respect to Jester's position, Jester keeps on misrepresenting not only my position but Arianis's position as just us questioning our ability to see. Again, we're not questioning your ability to see. We grant that you can see. We grant that you have sight. What we don't grant is whether your sight accurately represents the world. And I mean, just in virtue of the fact that there are optical illusions that exist, we know that our sight can be fallible, and you grant the fallibility for sight, right, or for sight as a whole. Now, the thing is, so long as you grant the fallibility of our side, it is not the skeptic's burden to debunk your position or show a contradiction. It is your burden to show why it is more likely than not that your side is accurate. And simply saying that your position is self-justified does not raise the probability of your side being reliable, and it does not raise the probability of any theory whatsoever. Now, again, he literally grants that he reaffirmed his position. He did not even respond, or did not even deny that he reaffirmed his position, or even say that it was just merely self-justified. Right? I explain why simple saying that something is self-justified to prove a position is uninformative. It begs the question. You can say that about literally anything, and there be no informative debate whatsoever. In a Naruto versus Goku debate, both persons can say, "Well, my view is that something is self-justified."
Y'all can't end the recording now.
Yeah, we just have to listen to another broke Jamaican who makes $7K a year ramble on a bunch of garbage again. Like, that's ridiculous, bro. That's ridiculous. That's so crazy. Like, this guy, bro. The fact that you even defend the Arianis guy is ridiculous to me. The fact that you like deride another guy virtually on Discord.com. That shit is crazy to me, by the way. But whatever, that nigga clearly lost again. It's tough, bro. And for y'all niggas asking whether or not that's the case, look up how much the average Jamaican worker makes in a year. Look it up. And tell me I'm wrong. And tell me how he's sitting here with a phone that disconnects all the time. Yeah, go ahead. Third world country, by the way, it is.
Yeah, parallel. He's just making poor jokes to cope with the fact that he just got clapped up. But anyway, I guess everyone is entitled to their own opinions. Hopefully, someone can post a recording and send me it. Yeah. Oh, there's no judgment. There's no agreed upon judge. I guess it's gonna just be posted on YouTube, and anyone can rewatch the debate if you're not paying full attention and give their own opinions.
Yo. Who just did that? What the fuck? I'm tripping.
Yo, you guys are not looking good. It's telling me that y'all make 1.3 million Jamaican dollars a year. A million Jamaican dollars is 6.5K US dollars. So you guys are making 7K a year.
Hopefully the fact that he got clapped
Oh
up.
my god!
But you know this something, guys. You know this something, guys. This guy's talking about my
Bro,
national
everybody thought I
anthem
beat you
after a
in
fucking
10 in less
debate.
than
You wanna
10
have a
minutes.
package
Look,
session,
that's
you can have a
fine.
package
Everybody
session. Why
thought you lost
are you
in
trying to
10
quote my
minutes
opponent by
yesterday.
country?
Niggas thought you were losing
go on
today
Google to
too.
search up
It's
like
okay.
poor
Y'all
jokes to like
niggas,
cope with
y'all
the fact he
niggas
got
make no
clapped up.
bread. Look
If
at
you
this,
want
look
to
at
have a
this, look at this.
packing session, you can
Everybody
have
look
a
at general.
packing
Everybody look at
session.
general.
Why are you
Everybody look at
coping
general.
like
Everybody look at
this?
general.
It doesn't look
Everybody
good
look at
for you,
general. Everybody look at
Jester.
general.
It
Everybody
doesn't
look
look
at
good for
general.
you, Jester.
Everybody
You
look
know
at
what?
general.
You know what?
Everybody look
That's
at
telling
that.
your
You got
fans, Jester.
ratioed
It's
on a
telling your
poll
fans there's
9
so
to 1 as
insecure
well. Like,
that you're
I'm
literally
not care
making
about
poor
polls.
jokes
Look at
because
general,
he just
y'all.
got clapped up. That's what it's telling your fans. It points out their insecurity.
Look
Look
at
how this
this.
guy goes out
Look
of
at
his
this.
way to
What am I
specify his
insecure
country's
about?
like national
Apollo, you
income
try to
to
scam
cope with
that
the
boy
fact that he
out for
got clapped. It's
$50. You
crazy.
admitted you
It's
lost to that boy.
crazy.
You have to
He's
pay
telling
him
your
money
fans
for
you're
losing.
insecure. He's telling your fans you're insecure, buddy. The debate is finished. There's nothing else to talk about. If you
Hold
want
on.
to,
Oh, there's no soundboards in here?
deride
Give
me,
me a
just say
soundboard.
so. Just say
Give me a
so and say,
soundboard in
Daddy
here.
Apollo, I want to pack you. I want more for your attention. Just say that. Why the fuck are you keep on going? The debate's finished. Shut the
I mean,
fuck
I just
up.
made a comment that you were broke.
Hold on.
I just said
I
you
don't
was
mean to
broke.
intercept. I don't mean to intercept, but what the fuck happened here? I feel like I showed up too
Oh
late.
no, so yeah, Hanyo, I'm just telling this Jamaican guy that his family can't even afford to buy him an Xbox. They make 7K a year, so 7K USD a year.
Apollo,
If you don't,
is this true?
well, look up the average Jamaican salary. Yeah, it is true.
Bro,
Look at
they're
general. Look,
I
Hanyo,
got
look at general.
Well, hold on. I got Jamaican homies, but they're killers. So I can assure you they get more than you get, Apollo. I'm gonna keep it 1,000. I can assure you that these brothers get money like you've never seen. But
Well, yeah. There might be niggas that make money over there. Yeah, I understand. There might be dudes, like some dudes that make money over there, like legit. That might be for real. I'm saying like
hold on. Oh no. Hold on. They not over there.
Oh yeah, okay. They're not. Yeah, that makes more sense too. Yeah, that made more sense. Yeah, that made more sense. I know because they're making that USD. They ain't making no JMD. That JMD is nothing.
all of my Jamaican
JMD.
homies was like, man, I can't make no money over here. I had to come over there.
I'm not
I'm
gonna
not
like,
hating, yo.
you
I
know,
ain't hating Apollo.
where-
I ain't hating Apollo. I'm just keeping it 1,000, bro.
You
All
wanna
my
know?
Jamaican homies was like, I can't make no money over here, bro.
You guys
That's why
want
I
to see
came
something
over
even
here.
crazier? The Jamaican dollar is worth less than a penny.
You fucking kidding? When
Look
did
at
you say
General.
that?
Look at General. Look at General. Look at General.
You
Look at General.
tripping.
Look at
Where did
General.
you see
Look at
that?
General. You guys are making
The Jamaican dollar is less than a penny. Shit is
You
crazy.
can't say anything to me, Apollo. I'm sorry.
That
You
is-
can't say
that
a
is
singular thing to me.
absolutely insane.
Look,
You guys sit over there though. That's the problem.
you.
That's fucked up.
I want to make it clear for
My man,
everybody. I want to make it clear. Look, I want to make it clear
My
for
man
everybody in the
Dre
VC.
from Kingston used to be like, he hates it over there. He used
Look.
to be like, we don't got shit, man.
I'm gonna
Every
make it
time I would
clear
talk to him,
for
he would be like,
everybody in
look
this
here.
VC.
I'm serious, my dude. He would be like, look, let me tell you something, Joker.
Look,
You don't have a damn thing over here, man. Like, I look
look, Hanyo. I'm gonna tell everybody this in the VC like
here.
this.
And
I'm a
like,
comic debater. Everybody listen to me. I'm a comic debater. Apollo's been doing this for how long now? I'm a comic debater. There should be no reason why I'm pressing any of these idiots on any philosophical topics. So if it should be zero reason. This is what he does. This is what he debates for real. This is what he debates for real. I'm going out of my way to debate him on Naruto. I'm going out of my way to debate him on Iroh. I'm going out of my way to debate him on some type of
I'm
like
gonna keep it 1,000
weirdo
with
philosophical
you, man.
topic. I'm a comic debater.
Hold up, Jester. I'm gonna keep it 1,000 with you. Trying to come at this man on anything philosophical is the worst idea you could possibly have. I don't give a fuck if you're fluent in philosophy. I don't give a fuck if you studied the front and back of Aristotle and all of that shit. Like, this cat, I'm telling you, it's a whole nother level of shit. And I'm not trying to
Wait,
take
Hanyo, you wanna know what he said?
What?
Yeah, he believes in this guy. So he's a Muslim, right? He's a Muslim, but he also
Wait a minute, how the fuck? Wait a minute, cuz is Jamaican and he a Muslim.
no. It gets funnier. Hanyo. I'm gonna tell you why this guy is not on another level. Ready? Look at this. Listen to this argument. So this dude is a Muslim, right? So he's a Jamaican. He's a Muslim, but he walks around and goons for this guy called Darth Arianis. Now this guy called Darth Arianis believes that it's possible that everybody in the world is deluded and we don't know whether what is in front of us is real or not. He believes that shit for real. He's a global skeptic.
Hold on.
So
I mean, to a certain degree, by our government standards, everything is somewhat of an illusion. But as far as what is real and what's not,
yeah,
you should be
know what I'm
able to
saying.
determine that, especially if your third eye is open. You know.
This is what I'm
The
saying.
whole-
So I'm like,
the
if
idea that
you
we're
believe in the,
Matrix or something is a little silly, though. I'm gonna keep it at that.
if you believe in
Y'all
arguments
mind my
like this, but you
position.
believe in
No one is
the
a
Prophet
fucking global
Muhammad,
skeptic. No one even endorses
he
that
is a
shit.
global skeptic. He is a
Ronnie,
global
on several
skeptic.
occasions,
He is a global
I
skeptic.
said to
He
the
is a
entire
global
college, I'm
skeptic.
literally a phenomenal conservative.
He
You're just
is
being
a
a
global
pathological liar
skeptic.
because
He is a global
like
skeptic.
trash talk. You
Yo,
fucking
can
retard.
you look, Apollo? I'm gonna ask you this question.
Ask Jester,
Can you
why are you lying,
justify
Jester?
why your
Why are you
phone keeps
lying,
cutting
Jester?
in and
Wait,
out of
Jester,
all these
why are you
debates?
lying? You said I was
Can you
a global
justify the
skeptic.
strength
Why
of
are
your
you lying?
internet? I
You
didn't
notice how
say
he's
you
dodging?
were a
You notice how
global.
he's
I never
dodging?
said that.
You
I
notice
said
how he's
Darth
dodging by
Arianis is a
asking me an
global
irrelevant
skeptic.
question?
I'm
Jester
saying you
blatantly said
goon for a guy that's a global
blatantly
skeptic.
said I'm a global
That's not what I
skeptic
said.
when I
That's not
literally
what I
said on
said.
several occasions
That's
it's my
not what I
grand
said.
phenomenal
That's not what I said.
conservatism.
I said Darth
That's what
Arianis.
you,
We're debating
Johanny, did
over
he
Darth
not say I'm a
Arianis.
global skeptic
We're
and I
debating
believe in
over
that shit?
Darth
Hold on,
Did he
Arianis. I
not
said
say it,
Darth
Johanny?
Arianis is a
Johanny,
global
be honest, did he
skeptic.
not say I was a global skeptic and I
What's up?
believe in that
hold on,
garbage?
What's
hold
good,
on,
Hanya?
hold
What's
on,
good, Hanya?
hold
Who
on.
said that,
Everybody
bro?
hold the fuck on a second.
What's good,
Cuz,
Hanya?
listen to me, bro. All right, Apollo. Let Cuz interject or do his thing and what he's doing, because the fact that you're turning up like this is just showing that you're getting pressed. And if you're really not,